Good afternoon. Today I wrote to Immigration Minister Lena Diab and Justice Minister Sean Fraser in the spirit of collaboration with a proposal to address comments made this week by British Columbia Premier David Eby. The Premier expressed deep frustrations with Canada's immigration laws as they pertain to non-citizens being convicted of or arrested for having been alleged to have committed serious crimes like extortion and subsequently making asylum claims. The Premier called for Canada's laws to be changed. I and millions of other Canadians agree. Even though the Premier is a New Democrat and I'm a Conservative, there are some policy areas that bridge the political divide. This is one of them. That's why last November, Conservatives proposed an amendment to Bill C-12, which would have updated the Immigration Refugee Protection Act to bar asylum claims from being made by those who have been convicted of serious crimes in Canada. This was a common-sense change that would have prevented abuse of Canada's asylum system and deterred non-citizens from avoiding deportation after committing serious crimes. This amendment was unfortunately rejected by the Liberals. In debate on that amendment, we made virtually the same arguments Premier Eby made in his press conference yesterday. Had this amendment carried, the Premier and Canadians would have gotten a signal that the Liberals were ready to modernize Canada's immigration laws to prevent this ludicrous, and that was his word, not mine, abuse of our asylum system. But in spite of the Liberals rejecting this proposal in November, our Conservative caucus is ready to work with the government to expedite legislation that would make this change, should they choose to table it. However, Premier Eby in his comments also suggested that we go further, and I agree. The Premier suggested that we not only seek to bar non-citizens convicted of serious crimes from making refugee claims, but also non-citizens who have active judicial proceedings in Canada for serious crimes as well, like extortion. I believe that this would send a message to non-citizens who now accurately believe that they commit serious crimes and avoid deportation by abusing Canada's asylum system. Additionally, in line with the spirit of Premier Eby's comments, the practice of judges giving leniency to non-citizens convicted of serious crimes to avoid deportation must end. There have been endless and patently egregious cases of non-citizens convicted of serious crimes like sexual assault who have benefited from this practice at the expense of victims and Canada's immigration consensus. That's why Conservatives introduced Bill C-220, which would add one line to the criminal code to end once and for all practice which is not in alignment with the spirit of long-established Canadian law. This bill will be up for a vote in a few short weeks, and I encourage the Liberals to support it. And in order to expedite this much-needed change, Conservative members of the Justice Committee and the Security Committee attempted to amend Bill C-14 to include this one-line change, but it was also voted down by Liberal members. So to re-emphasize, Conservatives are more than happy to work with the government to expedite this bill, as well as any legislation that would bar non-citizens who have been convicted of serious crimes like extortion, but also non-citizens who have active judicial proceedings for serious crimes like extortion from making asylum claims. I'm joined today by many of my shadow cabinet colleagues who have bills and are working in this area, but I'd like to invite our Deputy Leader, Tim Uppal, to talk about his extortion bill as well as the impact that some of these measures are having, the lack of law are having across the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. As many of you know, that extortion has become a major crisis across this country. There's a shooting almost every day this year. Extortion's been up almost 500%. There are more and more small business owners are saying that they are ready to leave this country because they do not feel safe themselves and their families. And this is why in the last Parliament I brought forward a private member's bill that would have brought in mandatory minimum sentences for extortion, but unfortunately the Liberals voted against that bill. We also had a bill by my colleague Arpan Khanna, the jail not bail, to strengthen our bail laws. That bill also was stopped from being fast-tracked. We have attempted in Justice Committee to move forward and support the Liberal bail changes, which we believe have not gone far enough, but we are willing to support them. Unfortunately, those changes have also not been fast-tracked. Before the summer, I had actually asked the government on extortions, the actions that they are taking. They said that they were going to hire 1,000 new RCMP officers. We have yet to see those new RCMP officers. So Canadians need this government to take real action to stop extortion, and the amendments to the laws that Michelle just mentioned is a good, strong step, and we are willing to work with the government to move forward on other changes to the justice system as well. Thank you.
I'm just wondering, what do you make of Jamil Javani's trip to Washington? Is this a good move? Is this something that was sanctioned by the party?
Well, I think all Canadian MPs, I would hope, and certainly Conservatives, are working hard for their constituents to make sure that they have good jobs and that there are issues that are sorted out in uncertain geopolitical times. I would just note that as an example of this, our colleague Shelby Cramp-Nyman, who is one of our senior critics, she's with Minister Anand this week doing that very thing. So, onwards.
Do you think it's what the government's doing is good to encourage Canadians to buy EVs?
So look, I think in principle, subsidizing an EV is something you should look at. Again, as you know, I used to learn in law school, my law professor would say the devil's always in the details. And the details here are just terrible for Canadian auto workers. Like, I know a lot of the people that work at the Brampton Assembly Plant. They live in my riding. And for them, who were supposed to build the Jeep Compass EV, it's now being built in the United States. They started about $37,000. So they will get these subsidies from taxes that these people paid when they were working at the plant and they're no longer working there. Like, those workers are going to be infuriated by this announcement. And I think there was just a better path. Take the HST off all Canadian-made vehicles, right? We build 1.3 million a year. This will benefit less than 5%. Why not do it for everyone and make sure we keep all the auto jobs? That's what I think.
I'm just double checking because there's been a lot of noise per se on electric vehicles. Are they good or not? Your party is okay with electric vehicles?
Look, people should have the choice, right? We just believe in choice. You want to get an EV, get an EV, right? I would love to get like a hybrid. It makes sense when you're in Ottawa, driving around, it's going to be on the battery. If I want to drive long distances, I've got the gasoline backup. So, but again, people should make those own choices, which is why mandates, forcing, and other things don't work.
But incentives, you know, we've seen Mr. Ford be against the old Tesla incentives, then they were dropped.
I think Tesla's actually going to be eligible for this. So I'm not sure how many Canadians are happy that Elon Musk is going to be getting some of the money from this. So look, I just think they tried to satisfy their Green Caucus because they're rolling back so many of the other things that they did to keep their coalition together. But what it's actually going to do is make things worse for Canadian auto workers. And I'm here to defend them.